All right. You should be updating your slides on slides 16 and 17, okay? So, what we're going to do on slides 16 and 17 is we're going to read the passage and we're going to use a stick it note method. I'm going to show you how to do that, okay? All right, so first thing we're going to do is read the first paragraph. This is titled Introduction. We see a picture of a conch shell from Stokes County, North Carolina in 1450 to 1600. Interesting, sometimes they use shells, or Native Americans use shells to barter for other goods like money. All right, let's look at this. British archaeologist Stuart Piggott once called archaeology the science of rubbish. There is truth to this statement. Rubbish means trash. Archaeologists spend lifetimes investigating the abandoned remains of ancient societies. Contrary to popular images about archaeologists, what intrigues them is not spectacular treasure, but the buried and mundane pieces of daily life. Today's archaeologists are as interested in why people lived the way they did as in the objects they made and the buildings they erected. Today's archaeology is guided by scientific method. It is rigorous and demanding discipline requiring a broad range of skills and techniques. That's just an overview and introduction. Let's read this first paragraph. Archaeology, then and now. In the early 1900s, most archaeologists were self trained. They merely had to like the past, have some experience in excavation, and be able to classify artifacts. Their predecessors of the 1800s were often mere treasure hunters who ravaged sites for collectibles. Predecessors means people before them. 1900s archaeologists were discussed here, and then it said their predecessors from the 1800s, so that we can infer it means archaeologists from before the 1900s. It says they were just basically treasure hunters. Tackling sites from Neolithic burial barrows in England to Hopewell Mounds in Ohio, they wielded spades for adventure, fun, and curiosity. Even those tempered by intellectual curiosity, like Heinrich Schliemann, we talked about him in our book actually, who discovered Homer's Troy in 1873, left a mixed legacy. With little regard for preservation, he, like other early archaeologists, destroyed almost as much as he discovered. Excavation techniques were brutal, as hired laborers shoveled out dirt to search for precious objects to display in museums or private collections. So here's our stick it note method. We're going to come up here to shapes. We're going to click the square shape and then click the square shape. And we'll make it kind of small, like that. You can make it a color, I don't care, but don't spend a ton of time on it. That's not the point of this activity. And we're going to write down the main point. What was this paragraph about? So what was this paragraph mostly about? Early, and you just start typing inside of the box. Early archaeologists. Of course, I forgot the R. Early archaeologists did not carefully follow modern procedures. So they didn't carefully follow the procedures that modern day archaeologists do. When they grid things, they then go step by step and square by square and carefully excavate the dirt off of the items and then analyze the items, and they just dug stuff up. In fact, we'll say most were treasure hunters. And it even says that they ended up hurting more artifacts than they saved, which is really sad. So that's our stick it note here. Now, the cool part about these is whenever we come back to use them, because we are using this for our second quiz next week, if not the week after, depending on the testing schedule, we're going to be able to move it around if we need to, okay? So this is our stick it note process. I want you to read the rest of the paragraphs on page 16 and 17, and you'll stick it note each paragraph, but if two paragraphs have the same understanding or idea, you can do two at a time, okay? All right, make sure you complete your stick it notes, and I will check them after they're done.